Hi there, Christine here from ChristineFerneyOnline.com. Today I want to talk about public speaking. Think about it, when you were young, didn't you want to be a public speaker? No, me either. There was actually a survey done in 1973 and they said that 41% of people feared public speaking, whereas only 19% feared death. As Jerry Seinfeld said, at a funeral, people would rather be in the box than at the front of the room giving the eulogy. That's too bad, because I've been doing public speaking for 15 years, and it can actually become a fun kind of activity that you do in your life. So that's why I'm making this video, so I can explain how that could happen maybe for you. Think about all the people that you contact in your daily life. I mean, you're already speaking in public. So in your personal life, you meet family and friends. In your community life, you might be part of a service organization or a charity or a sports club, hobby club, or even taking night classes. In your work life, be it that you have a job or that you're a professional or you own a business, in all of these areas, you're going to be contacting people every day. And when you meet people, two things happen. You're going to have communication and you're going to have leadership. Now, I believe in leadership by example. As a matter of fact, I don't think you can do anything but lead by example. The optional part is whether you do it consciously or unconsciously. We cannot not lead. When you're in the presence of another person, you are setting a leadership example. And so the only thing we can really control is our personal leadership, taking ownership of our own life and what we do, and being in congruency or in integrity in what we do. Learning how to be a better leader is a lot easier if you get feedback on how you're doing that. One of the ways you can do that is to join the military, and I did that for 20 years. But an easier, gentler way would be to join Toastmasters. When you join Toastmasters, there's a new member fee for all new members, but it's a one-time fee. So the first time you ever join Toastmasters, you pay. And the reason for that is because they're going to give you two books. A competent communication book and a competent leadership book. So I'm going to tell you about all of the books that we get in Toastmasters, but I'll start with these. The Competent Leadership Manual is a manual that has 10 projects in it. The projects are broken down into 45 tasks. In order to complete the manual, you're only required to complete 22 or 23 of the tasks, and you get to choose which ones you want to do. So there's always a couple of choices in each project. In the project, I have a little summary listing here, but you can see that there is project number 1 is about listening. Project number 2 is about critical thinking, giving feedback, and we use uplifting feedback, not constructive criticism, which can often be painful and not very encouraging. Because people come to Toastmasters voluntarily, we always want to do something that uplifts them and encourages them so they'll come back the next time and be more willing to take a bigger risk. In here it covers time management, planning and implementation, facilitation, motivation, mentoring, and team building. Now this is just a quick overview, and I'll actually talk about the book in detail on another video. But just to say, there is a 2 or 3 page description of each of those principles, and each principle is one of the projects. And then it will give you tasks. So when we're at the meeting, we fill different roles at each meeting. And as we fill those roles, we are doing using some of these leadership principles. So as the awe counter, I'm listening to what everybody's saying in a detail-oriented way so that I can count their ahs and ahs. And there's great lessons to be learned here. One of the things that I observed is when I'm listening to them speak for specific things, like are they using jargon? Are they using ums and ahs? Depending on what my role is that week and what I'm listening for. If I'm listening to in detail, it's very hard to listen to the big picture and what they're talking about overall. And so that is something really important to learn about listening. For me, I know if I listen to somebody with an accent, I get so caught up in listening to the melody of their voice and how they pronounce the words that I actually don't hear the content. So I know I want to listen, but often I don't listen and I don't know why. And working through this manual really helped me to narrow down what my personal weaknesses are so that I can compensate for them. The next manual I want to tell you about is the Competent Communication Manual. And this covers the basic 10 speeches in Toastmasters. The first speech is the icebreaker, and this is where a person introduces themselves to the club. The remaining speeches go through organizing your speech, getting to the point. So what's the point of speaking? Why are you talking to us? As I said today, I'm trying to give you an overview of what Toastmasters offers you and how they offer it to you. It's got how to say it. So working with words, do you speak in short sentences? Do you use short, clear vocabulary? Are you using jargon when you're talking? Body language. Body language can be gestures. A lot of people gesture with their hands and their hands are going constantly. This becomes very distracting. So just let your arms relax down by your side if you have to do a speech. And use pointed gestures. If you're counting out things like 3 principles, 2 points, emphasis. If you're talking to the audience, put your hand out towards them. Don't point at them. So there's all kinds of tips, and I'll do specific videos on each of these areas that they cover in the Competent Communication Manual further down the road. Today, I just want to give you an overview. They have vocal variety. So what pitch, what volume, what rate? When should you whisper? When should you use force? Do you pause? Do you pause for effect? Research your topic. When I was preparing for the speech today, there was some statistics that I wanted to use, and I went to find the source of the statistics I was going to use. And I found out that the statistic that I've often heard, that only 7% of communication is the words we speak, is actually a misquote. And so it's actually a reference from 1971 about salespeople and how they are perceived by customers. And it said that their credibility is established only by 7% by the words that they say. The other 93% is through their voice, broken down, I think it's 38% for the voice, and the rest is gesturing and body language. So think about this. If you're a salesperson, is your body language giving signals that's contradicting the words that you're saying? Or if I'm nervous or I don't believe what I'm saying, then my voice is going to be tense and that's going to come through my throat. If you join up to Toastmasters and you practice speaking, you're going to find this. The first few speeches you do, your voice is going to be very constricted because the muscles are going to be tense in your throat. And the more you get relaxed, the more those muscles will relax and your voice will change. You may even hear my voice change during this video as I'm working on areas that I'm more comfortable in, and then when I'm not so sure where I'm going, because I do tend to get sidetracked, my voice will shift. So there are 10 speeches, 10 projects in here. I recommend when somebody joins that they consider doing a project every 2 to 4 weeks. So you keep current and you don't, if you don't use it, you lose it. So once you start to develop those skills, keep going and keep building on your successes. One of my favorite things is the Toastmaster magazine. This comes every month and it's great. It's got all kinds of tips and stories about other people's successes, and there's a different emphasis every month. So I think you'll find this comes in your, the subscription is part of your membership. Once we finish our competent communication manual, then we move into advanced manuals. As part of a reward for completing the competent communication manual, we get to pick 2 free manuals. So every person that is a Toastmaster gets to pick. And you have to choose from 15 different manuals. I bought a whole package, so I have all 15. But they have this one is the entertaining speaker. So if you like to tell stories, this can help you put your stories in a concise format, and so you can be the entertaining speaker when you go to somebody's place for dinner. For people that talk a lot, like myself, Toastmasters is great for helping us to learn to talk a bit less and to include other people. For people that don't talk at all, Toastmasters is a great way to get you comfortable contributing to social environments. If you're in the work world, it's really critical in your career to be able to network. And so if you go to a social event, it's good to have a few stories under your belt to tell somebody and to be very pointed. And, I used to tell stories, but the question at the end was, what was the point of that story? I was just socializing. So there's actually a book on storytelling. Imagine that. There's a book on persuasively speaking. So for people that are in sales, this is really great for a sales focus. There's communicating on TV, speeches by management, facilitating discussions. So if you have discussion groups at work, that would be a great book to use. There's a whole list of these, and you can probably find them on the Toastmasters International website if you'd like more information about what the books are about.